Live from San Diego, California, it's The Tangent Show with Katharyne Shelton and Isaac Gonzalez.
Hi everybody, hope you are doing well. Welcome to The Tangent Show, live from San Diego. Yay.
And where are we today?
Where are we today? We're in Estonia.
Estonia.
Do you want to know why we are in Estonia, Isaac?
Yes.
Okay, we are in Estonia because, I lost the, there it is. So you know I've been doing this amazing Bobcat in a box thing where you basically pay $20 a month and they send you crap. Yes. And not very much crap, just like the odd dollar item from Alibaba. I got a new parcel. I was very excited. So this came all the way from Estonia.
Estonia.
Yeah. So Bobcat in a box. We've been sort of mentioning on and off through this show. Basically, they're like a bot where you send them, you just give them some keywords and they go shopping for you and send you random stuff off the internet. And this is what I got. I got little Japanese bookmarks.
How random is that?
It's pretty random.
So you get a random package from Estonia and it just happens to be a Japanese, what are they, bookmarks?
Right.
In Estonia.
Yeah. Well, from Estonia. Japanese bookmarks from Estonia.
This totally looks like something straight out of Daiso.
It really does look like Daiso. So anyway, that was my Bobcat in a box update. Actually, I really like those. That was better than the random guitar part we had last week. Yeah. So
okay, +1 for Bobcat.
+1 for Bobcat. They won this time around. Oh, so hey, it's International Women's Day.
Ooh.
And guess what, Isaac?
What?
I am an international woman.
You really are.
Right, that means you've got to honor me and make me tea and stuff.
Okay, you've been honored.
Right.
Let's just take 10 seconds of silence.
Well,
maybe that was too long. Okay.
I think so. Maybe a couple of
Scratch
seconds.
that.
Anyway, how is everybody doing? Hello, Debbie, Tina. I can't read that. I'm sorry.
Hello, international women.
Lorraine, Patricia, Charlene. Yes, lots of international women today. Hurrah!
Yes.
So it's nice to be with you today on this Friday. Yeah, we've got lots of cool things coming up. We have niche hunting. We've got an interesting site to look at today for niche hunting. We've got platform of the week, and it's going to be a good platform of the week for our lovely tangent template people.
Yes.
And for KDP people. It's very much a book creating platform of the week. So that'll be fun. We've got cool stuff.
Yes.
I love how we couldn't even be bothered thinking of something. That's just, this section's called cool stuff. You've got
we let Sid give the title to these. Oh yes, I do have something for Nerd Corner.
For Nerd Corner, awesome. And we've got the big debate.
Ooh.
When we get to fight.
Okay.
We never fight though. We always go, well, you could do it this way, or you could do it that way. Oh, no.
I know we're too nice. We need to
boxing gloves on.
Get some edge. Yeah.
So lots of things going on at the moment. I've got a few shout outs. Oh, the first one, I want to shout out my book club. So on Tuesday mornings, you should join me on YouTube, where we are basically on this channel. You can hit the subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notifications. I know that sometimes the notifications don't work. Sadly, I am not Sergey and who's the other Google guy?
Sergio Brin and Larry Page.
I mean, tell those guys that you're not getting notifications. I know, I'm sorry. But if you want to
technically, they don't work at Google anymore. They're the parent company, Alphabet. Just go on.
Do you want to do the show?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you do the show. So anyway, for your best bet at getting notifications, hit the bell and subscribe. So then you'll get to see our book club on Tuesday. Well, it's my book club. Really.
Yes.
You read the book club.
Yeah, it's a good book.
We are reading How to Have a Beautiful Mind by Edward de Bono. And actually, I really enjoyed it on Tuesday. It was fun. I kind of went a bit more in depth.
You went way in depth. I did not.
I know. We did 2 chapters, and I had slides. My hair's flickering. It's picking me up. We had 2 chapters, and we had slides, and we talked about how to agree and how to disagree. And it got pretty good feedback. I think people enjoyed it because right now, I think everyone argues a lot on the internet, and arguments tend to go a bit crazy on the internet.
I know. No one really accomplishes anything.
Right. So this was about how to argue beautifully.
Oh,
so how
there's
to
a
connect.
Beautiful way to argue.
There's a beautiful way to agree with people, and there's a beautiful way to disagree with people. So that was what we talked about on Tuesday. We will be doing chapters 3 and 4 that are coming up on
Cool.
this Tuesday. So if you want to join us for that, you don't have to get the book, because honestly, I'm probably pretty much going over the whole book in there. But
it's a book club. You don't have to read it, you know.
but it's a good book. It's How to Have a Beautiful Mind by Edward de Bono. And
Catherine's Lazy Book Club.
On Tuesdays. So it's kind of fun. It's a fun thing. Okay, so a couple of other shout outs I wanted to give. Oh, I wanted to give a big shout out to our good friend Katharyne Lowe, who is teaching a course called the 8-Week Money Fix.
The 8-Week Money Fix.
The 8weekmoneyfix.com. I am not paid or compensated in any way to say this. I just think she's super awesome. She basically went from bankruptcy to being a millionaire.
Wow, that's an awesome story.
The really nice bit is that she took our course
on
that journey.
Yes.
She, in between being bankrupt and being a millionaire, she took our coloring book course.
It's a great story.
And she ended up creating her own genre of coloring books with huge success. Top 10 best-selling Amazon books.
And we at the Amazon store down the street, they still have it.
We still
there.
see her
We're
books.
still stocking her books.
So she has a course at the moment about how to manage your money. And guess what? She interviewed me for it.
Hey.
So if you buy that course, you will find me in there.
Hey.
There's like an hour. Actually, it was just, she called me up on Zoom and we were just for an hour. And we talked about like how I got started selling online, just the whole story of moving from sort of eBay to Amazon to
it's a long story.
Digital to
it took an hour,
courses
right?
we talked about a lot of, well, there was a lot of other sort of things in there. But anyway, big shout out to Katharyne with 8-Week Money.
It's 8-week, 8, the number. We'll put a link in there. Yeah. So.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to shout out is, oh my gosh, ASD is around the corner.
Uh-oh.
We're supposed. Oh, look, so I'm going to type a link to the course right
so
there,
people can see it.
That you've got it.
Yes.
What's it called? 8weekmoneyfix.com. I don't know if you can sign up at the moment. I'm sure you can. This is the first run she's done of it, so it's kind of a beta version of the course. But she's going to do subsequent runs of it, and it looks pretty awesome. I haven't watched all of it, but from what I've seen, and also she's just a really smart and really nice lady. So I do recommend it, and she holds your hand a lot throughout the course.
We had dinner with her a few ASDs ago.
She went over
that
was so cool.
That was a really cool night. Really, really cool.
She is a great lady and a good person to go drinking with.
Yes.
So ASD is around the corner. It is, I think it's March the 17th. We will be talking on 2 days. We're talking on profitable creativity on the Sunday. I believe it's the Sunday. We're talking about profitable creativity. So you can join Isaac and me, and we'll be just talking about how we've built a business and what sort of lessons we've learned along the way, how we use creativity to build our business and keep building our business. And the second day, we're doing a publishing workshop. Again.
Yes.
We ran that in August. And it was awesome. We had a really, really amazing turnout for that. And what we did in August when we ran the publishing workshop is we said, bring your laptop or bring an iPad. And by the end of the class, you will publish a book on Amazon from scratch. You don't have to have anything written out. I know Vicky was there. I know Debbie was there. There's quite a few people who are watching now that I remember were at that class. And a lot of people got their book published by the end of the class, which was awesome, from scratch.
Yes.
So we're doing it all again. Bring your laptop. You don't need anything else. Set up an account on KDP, on Amazon's KDP service. So come along with your account set up on KDP. It's free. It costs you nothing. And bring your laptop. And by the end of the class, you will hopefully have a book published on Amazon or ready to go live on Amazon within 2 days.
Real quick, what is ASD?
What is ASD? ASD, well, it's basically a giant trade show. So ASD, I guess it stood for Affordable Shopping Destination, which is kind of a ridiculous name. But it's sort of stuck as ASD, and I think they've kind of dropped the affordable shopping.
It's just a huge trade show.
It's pretty fun, though.
Yes, and all kinds of vendors are there. You have both local vendors, wholesalers, and then also you have manufacturing companies
and a lot of cannabis.
They
have one whole section. So what actually ASD used to be lots of different shows, and they all just kind of merged in together. So they also have the Source Direct section, which is awesome if you are thinking of getting into private label, you're looking to get products made from overseas, you can go to the Source Direct section. So they really have a lot of things. I love it. So Isaac and I got involved when we were selling FBA. And we go there just to look at all the vendors, look for products that we could sell on Amazon, talk to the vendors, see what's new, see what's trending. And I especially like the August one because then you get all the products that are going to be huge at Christmas.
Yes.
So it's really nice to go just to look and see everything that's trending, everything that's about to be in the stores. And then what happened? We made a video there. And ASD were like, we loved your video, guys. Do you want to come and talk here?
Yes.
So we, with our highly professional...
And we were just clowning around, making fun of everything we saw in the area. And they were like, great, we loved it.
So now we get to go and talk to the lovely people at ASD. So we have a nice room in the South Hall upstairs. And we have donuts and coffee. So it's actually kind of a good pit stop. If you've just arrived at the show, it's your first day at the show, come and hang out with us because it's kind of a low-key and friendly. Yes. And you'll find some friends as well. Like that's the other thing that tends to happen at our meetups is people tend to find their friends there, and then they've got buddies that they can go around the show with. And it's just kind of
even if you're not selling physical products, I think it's still worth to go as just market research. You can see where the industry is moving, what kind of new products. And a lot of these companies, they've done a lot of market research, and so they're anticipating, what's going to be the next big seller.
And the other thing is you can actually, even if you can't go, even if you can't make it, you can register on the website and that will give you access to all the vendors.
Yes.
So that will give you a ton of information. So it's completely free. You can register on their website and that will give you access to all the vendors who are going to be at ASD.
Yeah.
So you can check them out, see what's there, like a ton of information. Like it can be a little bit overwhelming. Like it's so big, it can be a little overwhelming. But if you go with just an open mind and just let's see what I learn, and they have a lot of education. There's a lot of other teachers there, a lot of people doing classes. Obviously, like we like ours.
Yes.
And we just like seeing people getting hugs. And
that's really cool.
Making new friends. So it's pretty cool. So okay, that was ASD we talked about. Okay, so let's get going with our sections of the show because professional. And the first thing we're going to do is niche hunting. Niche hunting. So let's head into a screen share. Okay, so hopefully you are seeing on the screen. Oh, that's Katharine's course right there, the 8-week money fix, for those who are asking about it. And ASD is here, asdonline.com. Oh, I guess they've gone back to the affordable shopping destination. Okay, I'm sorry I said it was a silly name. It's a great name. There you go, ASD, affordable shopping destination. We're probably in there somewhere if you look at education or something. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to ruin that. Okay, so our niche hunting for this week is this page, redditlist.com. And this is an awesome little site for research. If you're trying to come up with ideas, if you are brainstorming, if you're like trying to come up with either a marketing idea or a product idea or a book idea, Reddit list is a great place to start because what it does is it looks at all the trending subreddits. Now, if you're not familiar with Reddit is basically an anonymous chat service. It's probably it's probably the busiest forum service. It's run by the guy who's married to Serena Williams.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the owner of Reddit, and they have made huge money from it because it's just become so popular. And it has millions and millions of people subscribed and looking at the different subreddits, which are basically the name of subforums on Reddit. And what I love about this page, Reddit list, is that it shows you the current most active subreddits. So you can see which groups have the most activity right now. You can see which have the most subscribers. And you can see which have the most growth in the last 24 hours. So you can see which are really just taking off. And usually if there's a lot of growth, it's because there's something really interesting going on in there. There's a popular topic. So this growth section can be an amazing place to go just to find something that's really popular, a meme that's about to make the news, an event that's about to make the news. I mean, if you're doing t-shirts, like this is huge as well. Like if you're looking for sort of merch research, looking at subreddits is very, very powerful. And I love this one, like tales from call centers. Like that's a great one. So we can scroll through a little bit, and you'll find that some of them are a bit cryptic, and you're like, well, what's this even about? Let me go down a little further. I like this one. It's, sorry about the rude word, but it's got nature is effing lit. And I love that because I feel like you could, like it's really easy to say nature pictures.
Yes.
Or like animal pictures or beautiful volcanoes. And that's kind of the obvious thing that people go with when they want to describe something like nature. However, this is where like intersect comes in. And this idea of putting like a strong opinion or a strong emotion.
Yes, absolutely,
something.
absolutely.
So instead of saying beautiful nature picture, you go, nature is effing lit, guys. And it has the same content. Like you still have beautiful nature pictures.
But
it gives
a
it
huge
like,
amount of enthusiasm behind it. Yes.
Right, that kind of attitude and edge.
It's like Steve Irwin for 2019.
Yeah, and I think like this is something people are really scared to do, is put some emotion behind things or put a strong opinion behind things. But like everyone wants to be professional and be like, oh, I have wonderful nature pictures, lovely nature. But sometimes, and as we talked to Katharyne in her 8-week
swear words are strong emotions.
Putting a strong emotion, a swear word, being a little irreverent can be very, very powerful in your product creation. The other thing I wanted to talk about this is the idea of making things a thing. Does that make sense?
A thing.
Okay, so let me give you an example.
Like coining the phrase?
Well, okay, like this, right? I just stumbled upon this and I thought it was hilarious. Mm-hmm. This guy goes on Twitter and he said, your mom just announced she's running for president in 2020. What's her campaign slogan? Oh, I see you're racing. I want to know where you're going. What would your mom say if it was 2020 and she's running for president?
Be careful. I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that. You know that was in there. Someone had to be careful. I like the top one was, I might as well. I do everything else around here. I'll give you something to cry about.
Oh, wow. This is great.
I want to ask the kids now. I wonder what they'd say. They'd be like, I don't know. It's cool. That's probably what I say. Mommy, can I do this? Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't care. Have fun.
Don't talk back.
I know. This way, nobody's happy. Don't bother. I'll do it myself because I said so.
That's why. Go to your room.
Those are great mom slogans. But what I was thinking about this, it's like this would make a great book. You could have like a little gift book for your mom and just have like best mom.
If my mom was running for president, yeah.
Right, and so it's like you can turn games like this into a book. Like if you come up with a concept or an idea like this, there's no reason you can't turn it into a book. And I have an example. So, okay, I haven't actually sold many of this one yet because I haven't marketed it at all.
Sure.
In fact, I made this as a demo for something else I was doing. However, this is a book that I created. Let me go out of the share for a moment. So this is a little book that I created for KDP. And it's really kind of a demo book that I made. But it kind of tells you the concept. Basically, let's go do the story here.
Back it up a
bit. A couple of years ago, Isaac and I were staying in a hotel in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a bad hotel, actually. It was kind of I think it was like a sports club or something.
Yes, it was. It was a sports club.
It was a very fancy hotel. And we were staying in this hotel, and very late at night, this guy came down the corridor. What was
This dude was like yelling with this girl. He was fighting with this girl. And all we heard was, I'm sorry. Maria, come back. Maria. And then like his buddy's there. Nah, man, you got to take it easy, man. You got to calm down. And she's like, I can't believe you did that. Oh my gosh, I saw that text. Maria, listen. Nah, man, you got to keep it cool, man. And they went back for an hour going back and forth.
You should get an Oscar.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
That was like a very accurate reenactment.
And we're like looking through the people like, whoa, what's he doing now?
No, we could only see them as they went back and forth. But it kept us entertained for like 2 hours. These people just having a massive fight outside.
We're like, nobody call the cops. Please, we want to see where this goes.
Leave them alone. Let's see where this is going. Because it got quite exciting. So anyway, what I did, I made a book about this. And I basically called it Other People's Fights, for those details you never want to forget. And what it has in here, it's a low content book. and it has sort of all the information of every fight you overhear. So it has like the topic of the fight, the date it happened, the people who are involved, how the fight went down. So you can put some information on that. We've got memorable lines.
Okay.
So if there was like something you particularly want to remember, that if they
Maria, I'm sorry.
Maria, I'm sorry. And the outcome as well. If you get to hear the outcome. Oh, we had like those old people fighting.
Oh yes, I forgot about that
the other night. That was great. There was like an old couple and they were fighting, and the guy, what were they fighting
Oh
about?
my gosh, they were.
So you should have written it down.
It was what he said to like a clerk. He said something.
She was like, I'm too embarrassed to go back there again. And he was like, what? I didn't say anything. But these were like really old people.
They were like 70, maybe 80 years old. Yeah. And they were just got in a row with each other. And the old man ended up stomping away.
But they were quite posh as well. They were
they were.
Well,
and the woman, they ended up going their separate ways. And then I think their daughter or someone had to bring them back together.
Oh yeah, the daughter showed up and she's like, "Oh, come on, we can go." It was just hilarious.
Like, wow.
So I mean, we thought like logging people's fights is actually kind of a thing and kind of a funny thing to do. So here's the thing: you can make anything a thing.
A thing.
I
see what you're saying.
The other one I wanted to do, the website I always wanted to do was people not talking to people. So you have people sitting at a table. So you know when you go in a restaurant and there's like a couple and they're just both looking at their phones. And it's just, you're like, why aren't you people talking to each other?
They're just like.
And I thought that'd be great to just have a website full of pictures of people who are in restaurants just looking at their phones. Call it
so about 8 years ago, when we started dating, we would go out to eat and we would just laugh at every single table. We still do. However, now because it's 2019, her kids are older and everyone has a cell phone.
Oh, that's true.
We find ourselves being those people we used to laugh at. We sit down and we're all playing on our phone. All 5 of us are playing on our phone while we're waiting for our food to come.
Everyone's playing their own game. The kids are playing an anime game, and I'm playing like Fallout Shelter, and you're playing Polytopia. And then we all look up and we're like, oh, none of us are talking to each other. Oh well.
Continue on.
we kind of enjoy each other's company.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I don't know. Yes, it's pretty true. So anyway, the thought behind this was look at Reddit list. Let me do my screen share again. And what I would say, like, don't just, oh wait, is that the right one? There we go. What I would say is don't just like copy these names or ideas, but like have a look at the kind of things that work on Reddit. Like this is a brilliant one. Explain like I'm 5.
I actually subscribe to that. I love that.
You're one of the 16 million people subscribed to that Reddit.
Yes, and it is awesome. They'll take really complex stuff and say, just tell me like a 5-year-old.
Right.
And I love it. Yeah.
So it's just about, and there's another of your favorites there, the instant regret.
Yes, I do love instant regret.
That's like your favorite.
I could watch that for hours.
And you're awful because you always send it to me, and I'm like, that's awful. That's horrible. That's not funny. It's like, I don't know. Give me, what's an instant regret?
I think the last one I saw was some dude who tried to tackle an alligator with a blanket. It didn't go well.
Instant regret.
Instant regret.
So you kind of get the vibe from here. So it's redditlist.com. Oh, and I should explain. So we're looking at the SFW version of the Reddit list, which is safe for work. Now, there is also the N safe for work, which I'm not going to click right now, but that is the not safe for work. So if you like naughty websites or you're into naughty niches or adult niches.
If you're in the erotica category.
Yeah, which a lot of people,
KDP.
We do have a selling in sexual wellness course and class. If you are in that and looking for ideas for not safe for work, you can just click to that and they have the exact same information, but for adult sites as well.
Yes.
So cool. That was our niche hunting, which was on Reddit list. Are you ready for Nerd Corner?
Oh yeah. So
okay, let me stop my share and there you go. You can talk all about Nerd Corner while I drink my tea.
So today for Nerd Corner, I wanted to talk about audio. And one of the things that I very rarely really talk about is that I actually do a lot of audio editing for Katharyne's videos. So if you look at her video channel, you'll notice you might look at it and be like, wow, she's really great behind the camera. And she is. However, behind the scenes,
what are you saying here?
I do a lot of audio editing, and I also
keep
going
digging,
back.
Guys. Keep digging. It's fine.
Yeah. So Well, the audio, well, not only do I have to edit parts of the audio, I also enhance the audio. And the program I use to enhance audio is called Audacity. It's a free program, and you can look online. It's both on Mac and PC, and it's called Audacity. And it's a great free audio tool you can use to enhance, edit, and you can do cool things like take away a hissing sound or a hum. So like if you find that your computer monitor or your computer is really loud, making a really loud humming sound, and you're like, oh no, this audio has this huge hum, you can actually extract that using Audacity. And that's one of the things.
It's useful.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So
However,
if you have your pet snake and it's sitting there hissing, you can take that out.
Yes, you can.
That's good. I'll remember that.
Yes, absolutely. And so aside from editing audio, I also love to make music. And so I don't have a lot of free time, but when I do, I love to make music. And what people use to make music today is called a digital audio workstation. GarageBand, Logic Pro, Fruity Loops, and are some
Fruity
of the
Loops.
It's called Fruity Loops. Yes,
okay.
Some of the Fruit Loops maybe now is it's some of the recording software that people use.
Are you like a hot DJ?
You can be, yes,
okay.
with this, and they have one of the things you can record multiple tracks. They have different sound effects, and they have keyboards. Now, one of the things I purchased for my recordings that I want to talk about is this thing. This thing is freaking awesome. It's called the Akai MPK Mini, and I can never pronounce it, but with this is a controller. And what you do is you plug this into your computer, and if you have a digital audio workstation software, such as GarageBand or Logic Pro, you can control this, and you have access to all the keyboards, drum machines. You can do a pitch modulation. You can do vibrato, also the levels. And then it has a lot of cool knobs you can use the effects on. I say that because it depends what keyboard software you plug in on what these knobs do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
just twiddle your knobs.
So it's about $100, and I tell you can get a lot done with this thing. It is awesome. And the drum pads here, they're touch sensitive. So that's one of the things I want to talk about for Nerd Corner.
You just want to get excited about your keyboard thingy.
Yeah, that's it. It's awesome.
Okay, there you go.
I would give you a demo, but all our
it's not plugged into it.
Right, all our
but you can play it on the
wires
wall.
are plugged in now.
Like that Journey video when the guy's like, "One day love will find you."
He plays on the back of the wall because he has to let the world know he's the keyboard player.
I know, it's like dude was standing out on like a dock, like dancing around. Yeah, I know Steve Perry's like that.
He's really intense singing.
One day.
Yeah, and then the keyboard players in the back playing keyboards on the wall. Awesome video.
Journey, amazing.
Don't stop believing.
Thanks for that. That was almost cool.
It was cool. Don't deny that.
Okay.
You're a Journey fan, and you know it.
What?
Yeah. Okay, the journey continues.
Journey continues. All right. Wheel in the sky. Okay. So, platform of the week.
Yes.
Oh, hey, this is a good one. Okay, so we kind of have a couple of platforms actually. Let me share back. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so our platform of the week. Well, I want to start off with Wattpad actually, because Wattpad is. Hello, where is it?
No,
is
our internet working?
Oh my gosh! I hope we're still online. I hope we
you
are
better
still
check.
live.
It's not going to say connection broken.
That could be a problem. Have we disappeared? Or are we still here?
No, it is.
Oh, that's weird.
Wattpad.
Okay, Wattpad just went down. Okay, screw Wattpad. We don't need Wattpad anymore. we'll go to Quotevy.
Okay.
So we were going to talk about Wattpad, which seems to be having some issues.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, there are a lot of platforms now for fan fiction and publishing your writing. Let me try again on Wattpad.
Sure.
Let me stop share a moment while I just do that. Dun, 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 dun. Let's give it another go because I think. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's
there
back.
Okay.
We've got it back. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, there it is. So let's talk about Wattpad first. So what Wattpad is a place for writers to upload their stories. So what I like about it, again, from the niche hunting perspective.
Yes.
Wattpad is really cool because it has you can really see what the most popular genres are right now. And I would say the demographic is sort of late teens, like mid to late teens, early 20s. It's kind of a similar demographic to Tumblr. And I think what's really cool is it gives you these genre ideas for what is popular in fiction. And some of them are really like different from what you would expect. Like when you browse Amazon for fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you expect to see certain genres like inspiring fiction and classics and a lot of that sort of stuff. With Wattpad, it tends to be very much what the kids are into. So stuff like creepypasta. I love this one, Billionaire. And so what's interesting about Billionaire is it's 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, okay.
So basically 50 Shades of Grey sparked an entire genre of girls who are just turned on by billionaires. Which, I mean, obviously you can kind of understand that, right?
See, when I was a kid, it was all about Richie Rich.
Richie Rich.
Yeah, he's like a little cartoon character who's like, he doesn't have a superpower. He's just super rich and does cool stuff.
Did he have a red room of pain, though?
No, he did not.
See,
the cartoon didn't show it. Wait, did the kid from Richie Rich grow up to be the guy from 50 Shades of Grey? Mind blown.
Christian Grey. Wow. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
Everyone out there, they know what I'm talking about. They all watch Richie Rich.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Billionaire is a good one. I think Werewolf is a fun one. I know.
Shapeshifters.
Yeah. So a lot of people come into our KDP group and they're all about the shifter erotica.
Yeah.
It's like a huge thing. There's like yetis and werewolves and monkeys and
wow.
I don't think there's monkeys.
Yeah. It's like the island of Dr. Monroe.
I think I just made that one up. So let's click, for example. So like creepypasta, that's a great one. And it just has all these stories that people have written based. And what's interesting about this is that creepypasta has its own subgenres within it. So like Jeff the Killer, that's like a whole subgenre. And Ben Drowned, and like people.
That's not Jeff Davidson, our friend.
No, Jeff's not a killer.
He's not a killer. Okay.
Well, I don't know. You never know. But
I'll have to message him later.
I think.
Hey, man, you're not a killer, are you?
Is he even here? Probably.
Probably.
Sorry, Jeff. No, it's a different Jeff.
Okay.
But we know a lot of Jeffs.
We do.
There's
yeah.
A lot of Jeffs out there. Laughing Jack. That's another one. So it's kind of interesting that they actually have their own sort of sub-genres of creepypasta. And of course, creepypasta has its own website where you can go and actually browse all the categories there as well. So it's kind of a rabbit hole. But so that's Wattpad. Mm-hmm. It's a place where you can just go and explore fiction genres.
Okay.
But what I wanted to share also, there's a lot of other websites like Wattpad coming up. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple I want to hang on to because I think we could talk about them in perhaps in the group or in another show.
Okay.
But there's actually quite a lot of these kind of writing websites coming up
platforms,
now.
Yeah.
Mostly for teens and young people. It tends to be a lot of young people. It tends to be more women.
What's interesting about that is like Facebook is having a really hard time getting young people on their platform. Mm-hmm. The younger demographics from like 12 all the way to early 20s are leaving Facebook, or they're never joining. They think of it as a place for old people.
It's a boring place
right,
for
but
old
where
people.
they are going are these fan fiction sites.
And I think what else is interesting is I noticed teens are much more interested in imaginative stuff.
Yeah.
Like Facebook is not good for imagination. It doesn't really let you tell stories.
Whoa, that's...
Like, have you noticed that people don't tell stories on Facebook?
No, I mean, it's a place for memes and to get a point across.
But I think they kind of created this by saying you have to use your real name.
Oh,
and I think it makes you kind of vulnerable when you like, I think a lot of people, more people than you think, write fiction, but they don't necessarily want to put their name behind it.
Right. Especially if it's really weird or
And I think a lot of fiction
taboo.
Now is kind of weird and taboo. I think a lot of people write to sort of get that out of their thoughts. So, I think these platforms are really important to watch for where sort of things are heading and what young people are doing on the internet. And
we've seen this so many times. I mean, all the way from like Five Nights at Freddy. It was an independent video game by one person, I believe.
It was Five Nights at Freddy's.
And there was a whole genre of fan fiction around it. And
Minecraft.
That started off as a lot of fan fiction. Yeah.
Wattpad. So they do have fan fiction from various genres. And I'm sure you can probably look in here and find Minecraft. I bet you this.
I mean, what was it? Was it Herobrine? Right?
Oh, yeah,
there was like
Herobrine.
A whole creepy pasta around Minecraft.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah.
Abducted by Herobrine. Herobrine X readers. So there's like these subgenres.
All this was brewing way before it reached massive hits.
So the crazy thing is, right, if you play Minecraft, Herobrine is not really mentioned. I mean,
he doesn't exist.
He doesn't really exist. It's
right.
like a fictional, like an additional fictional character
that the fans themselves created for the world.
And I think that Minecraft did sort of start putting Easter eggs in because they saw this character was becoming like a big thing. So
yeah, Notch was kind of tongue in cheek about it. Yeah,
they gave like a little nod to the fans. So the other website I wanted to talk about, so that was Wattpad, which is probably the one that started this sort of fan fiction. There's also fanfiction.net as well, actually, which is another website.
It's the history of 50 Shades.
That's true. So 50 Shades of Grey, of course, that started as Twilight.
It was a fan fiction for Twilight, and what they did was they reskinned it. Instead of having a vampire, they had a billionaire. And she went on fan fiction, wrote this story. It was called Master of the Universe. And it was really bad. It was really hardcore. In fact, she took it down because she got a lot of complaints about it. And then she rewrote it again. And next thing you know, 7-figure book deal.
Wow. And movies. And
right. All because of fan fiction from Twilight.
Which, and I think that's kind of an interesting idea of reskinning stories. Like, you could probably rewrite it with, like, Yetis or, like, I don't know, motorbike riders or, like, you could probably skin it for different...
Hello, Katharyne. Oh, my. It is I, the Yeti billionaire. Boom. I got $1 million idea right there.
This is great. We should revisit this.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
Can you hold on to that point?
Sure.
Great. Where were we? Okay, so... Quote V. Oh yeah.
Quote V.
So So Midnight showed me Quote V.
Oh yes.
Midnight is our 15-year-old daughter who is obsessed with just everything.
Online role playing.
Fiction, role playing, anime.
She sleeps, breathes, everything.
In fact, both our daughters do. They are obsessed with anime and just pop culture. And it's all stuff that like you don't really see on regular TV or well, I guess they like movie stuff, but a lot of it is like really kind of obscure to us, but yet there's a huge following online and their friends at school are into this stuff and we're just like, whoa.
It's very, very hard to keep up with their interest. You need like an exceptionally high IQ just to absorb everything they're into. And it's like, what do they want for Christmas? Oh my gosh, don't even get me started.
Because they write a list and it's like, it's like Danganronpa and Love Live.
Yes, and a lot of these anime titles are just, they have the most like weird, wacky titles that you just go, huh?
Oh yeah. So, okay. I was just looking at the chat over here. I was missing the chat.
Yeah.
Cover design with Amelie says she writes on Wattpad. Oh, Jeff said we outed his secret. So
he's a serial killer.
Someone says, what if the monkeys were from the Wizard of Oz were were-monkeys?
Whoa.
Pair the were-monkey with a high position. That would be a real story. Someone made the Monkey King, the Emperor Gent. That's actually a really cool idea. And Patricia says they call it the front page of the internet. So, Quote V, that was what we were talking about. Now, what's interesting about Quote V is that it really started as a fan fiction site, but the other thing it has is quizzes. So I find it kind of interesting because the fiction is very much like Wattpad.
Yeah.
That they have similar kind of categories and they break it down in the same way. But this quizzes thing is just like such an odd thing to add to it. But I was browsing through this and I was finding all kinds of like weird sort of ideas and like, what is your battle class? That's kind of an interesting one. And I feel like there's a lot of ideas in here that you could apply to creating a book or...
So are these quizzes more to show off your enthusiasm or is it like introspective where they make you think about things you normally wouldn't think about?
And that's interesting. I think it's kind of a mix of things. I think some of them are just fan quizzes, like how much do you know about this TV show? Okay. Or they're like, which Riverdale character are you? Like that's kind of a popular one. But I think there's also like, I mean, this one, like, what is your deepest fear? Are you okay? This is a quiz designed to check your mental health.
Oh, okay.
What is your dominant magical ability? Whoa. Now, I feel like these kind of things would make great books. And in fact, there's a journal company, and I think they're called Best Self. I think that's what they're called. And before you can buy their journal, they actually publish 4 different journals. And they have them, and they're guided journals. So they have prompts in. And what they do is they have different prompts depending on your personality type. So if you have like an artistic personality type, they might have more freeform questions. If you're like a goal-oriented person, they've more the prompts in that book are more sort of like tailored towards fulfilling goals. So before you actually buy the journal, you have to take a personality test, and they tell you which of the 4 journals they recommend you buy. So
this reminds me of my telemarketing days. Yeah, when I was 16 years old, the very first job I had was a telemarketer, and one of the things we had to do was role play phone when we call, and they said the person asking the question is in control of the conversation, and they said you could control a conversation by deciding what questions to ask. And so we were trained to ask very specific questions. It was for people, I think it was refinancing back in the day. And so it was really interesting.
When you make me tea, do you prefer making it in a red cup or a white cup?
Ah, I see what you're doing there. Translation, make me some tea.
It works.
See, when you know.
You've lived with me long enough. So wait, what were we talking about? Asking questions.
Yeah, asking questions. Yes.
The thing. Yeah, and I think there's also some marketing tricks here. It's like everyone considers themselves an introvert on some level. Like you ask people, and very few people say, "Oh no, I'm an extrovert. I'm very confident in front of people." Like deep down, everyone's kind of scared.
Yeah, I'm shy. I don't want to put my face up there.
We're all scared. Everyone's anxious. Everyone has insecurities. So what you do is you're like, do you suffer from anxiety? Do you have some sense of insecurity? And everyone says yes, deep down. Like, and the crazy thing is, it's like everyone publicly goes, I'm a strong, confident woman. I'm an independent woman. I'm very tough. But deep down, we're all like, imposter syndrome.
Because if you don't, you're a psychopath.
Well, that's you. But it's kind of funny. It's like there's like a definite sort of psychology to a lot of these things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of almost telling people what they want to hear. And I think that's kind of the secret behind a lot of like the magic groups and the law of attraction groups, and it kind of feeds into what people want to hear.
So you think asking questions is feeding into what people want to hear?
I think asking loaded questions, like, are you an introvert? I feel like you could probably do the statistics on it, but probably something like 70 to 80%.
So they're like, ooh, challenge accepted.
Yeah,
yes.
and but also it taps into that sense that everyone wants to feel that something's personalized for them. So if you see something and you go, oh, this is for that's another one, like, the indigo children, right?
Oh, yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, my child is an indigo child, and I'm a highly sensitive person, and like everyone sort of diagnoses themselves with these things. And so it's like you create the book that taps into it, or the model that taps into it, and then people are like, wow, this was made just for me. But it's like cold reading, right?
Yeah.
It's like, when in the old days a psychic would stand up and be like, I have a message for someone who has an uncle who died, and it's like, find me someone who does have a dead uncle. It's like you go down that path, and you're like, oh well, let me see, did your uncle's name, it had a hard sound, it was date Bob. Like it's kind of a modern
have a message from Bod from the dead.
Right, it's like a modern equivalent of cold reading. What were we talking? Oh yeah, quizzes. We keep going down these rabbit holes. So anyway, you can use quizzes to find ideas for like your books, things like that. I also I don't know, but I wonder whether, so the thing with Wattpad is that you can use Wattpad as almost like a sample. So you put like little bits of your story, or you write a short story, and it acts as a taster for people who might enjoy your whole story.
Oh, okay.
Or your complete story. So you can actually use, not as direct marketing, like you can't use these sites for direct marketing, but you can do it to give out a taster.
Funnel.
Yeah,
funnel.
Exactly. Funnel. You can do it to give people a taster of the world that you're creating.
Yeah,
or the
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm laughing at Amelie. Bloody McDonald's always asking if I want a medium or large combo. I want a small. So again,
can I supersize that for you, right?
They feed you the questions, and they kind of control you with the questions. So anyway, so Wattpad and QuoteV, so it's quotev.com, are platforms of the week, there are a lot more sites.
Yeah, it's a huge
the whole
topic.
genre of fan fiction and creating short stories, huge right now. So if you can find a way to sort of tap into that. I also wonder about creating stories about products or creating products based on stories.
Ooh.
So like I don't know, like
the holy grail of marketing right there.
Well, it kind of is. Like if you can create like a fictional world, I mean, you can sell like dolls of the characters, or you can sell like maps of a world that you've created, or you could do something more indirect. Like maybe you write a story about like kids that played with like a certain type of Ouija board, and then you like create the actual Ouija board to sell it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You can kind of create products based off a story, or you can write a story based around a product.
It's going back to the Mattel's heydays in the 80s when they sold all the toys, He-Man, Barbie. They had a whole collection, and they were pumping these out like crazy back in the day.
You can do it in kind of a supple sort of.
Yeah.
I've got my evil marketer brain on today. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not really evil. I kind of got my evil marketer head on today. Okay, so let's talk. Cool stuff. I have a quick one for cool stuff. This is something I talked about in our KDP group this week. Let me do a screen share. There we go. Okay. So I have no affiliation with these people. I know nothing about them. I just saw it on Facebook, and I thought this was the coolest thing ever. These people have a labyrinth summer school, and they just make labyrinths. Wait, there was one they were making labyrinths with little stones. Oh, there it is. Like, how cool is that? They're all making their labyrinths.
That's actually really, really cool.
So a quick story. When I was at college doing performance studies, one of the things we did was an interactive performance. And my friend Jenna and we put together an interactive labyrinth. And
whoa, that's pretty cool.
And I got really into the idea of labyrinths. So labyrinths have a lot of history. There's cathedrals. I wonder if I can stop that clicking because that's annoying me. There we go. Labyrinths are in a lot of cathedrals in Europe.
Oh, okay.
And if you are like sick or old, or you can't travel, some people use labyrinths to do like pilgrimages. So if you can't actually go on a pilgrimage, instead what you do is walk slowly around a labyrinth and meditate.
That's pretty cool.
And sort of think as you take that journey. And labyrinths are used in a lot of other ways. Actually, stay there. Talk to the people for a moment, because I think I have a book. If I can find it.
Oh yeah. One of the things this reminds me of Pablo Coelho has a book called The Pilgrimage, and in that book he goes on this crazy spiritual journey that's like really out there, especially for us Westerners. And one of the assignments he has is called the slow walk exercise, or slow walk exercise. And the idea is that you change the pace of your walking for 20 minutes a day. So what he would do, he'd have to walk really, really slow for 20 minutes. And the point of the exercise was that it would cause you to kind of really observe your surroundings, and you have a new perspective on, I guess, on your life in general. We tend to walk in the same pace. Maybe we walk fast, or we have our usual walk. But when you walk slowly, it really causes you to think about things that you normally would not think about.
Yeah, so there's I'm trying to see if they have a picture. Oh, there it is. Hold on. So there is a brand of birth preparation, kind of like like when you're having a baby, they all try and get you to do all these different there's all these different sort of styles of birth preparation, like the Bradley method, and I've forgotten the other ones. It's been 10 years. But they have this company called Birthing from Within have a big thing about labyrinths. See, so there's the labyrinth in the mom there, and they get people drawing labyrinths, and they use labyrinths as meditation techniques. So when you're thinking about your baby, you can draw the sort of labyrinth and meditate on what your baby is going to be like, how you're going to cope in labor. And I was really thinking about this idea of labyrinths as representing a journey, or representing some kind of, like, just giving you some kind of focus while you're meditating. Kind of like mandalas. Mandalas are very similar. Like, I know a lot of people like coloring mandalas, drawing mandalas, making them in the sand, all those beautiful patterns.
Yeah.
And I was really thinking about how you could use labyrinths in your book. So, like, if you wanted to write a book for like maybe people who are in recovery, or maybe people who are like trying to do something like lose weight. Perhaps you could get them drawing labyrinths in your book, or perhaps you could draw part of a labyrinth and sort of guide them through the process visually.
Whoa, like a conceptual pilgrimage.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's a lot of sort of processes you go through in life, like maybe a grief. Like if you're grieving, you could perhaps draw a labyrinth to sort of help you focus on different aspects. Oh, so what I was talking about, when we were at college, the labyrinth that we built, my friend Jenna and I, we marked it out on the floor, I think with tape, and we got people to come and walk around it, and we created it for healing. And we were like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like when you came in, it was like, how are you feeling? Are you physically feeling okay? And if people weren't feeling physically okay, we offered them like Tylenol or Band-Aids or like a shoulder rub or whatever they needed to feel physically okay. If they were feeling psychologically not okay, we had like a jar of affirmations and positive thoughts we could give them.
Oh, wow.
So it was like a healing labyrinth. It was like, come and join us in our healing labyrinth. And then we kind of guided them around it. So it was like a little journey, but in a very small space.
Yeah.
But we got them to sort of walk around it super slowly, as you were talking about. So I think there's a lot of power in this idea of creating a journey in a small space. And a book is a small space. A page is a small space. The other thought I had with this is that this could work really well. You know how people use infographics on Instagram and Pinterest, and how or particularly Pinterest, and infographics are really big in marketing. You could use labyrinths for your infographics, and you could maybe use them for something more complicated. Like, I don't know, how do I use tangent templates? And then you could do like a labyrinth of like, okay, your first step is like choose the interior you want and choose your page count. And perhaps you could draw that out as a labyrinth.
Okay, you know where my brain goes? It's completely different direction.
Awesome.
Remember we talked about retail stores and how retail stores are boring.
Yeah.
And how like you need to have something interesting in a retail store. Okay, one of the things that I think is really cool is like when you have a haunted house, a homemade haunted house is you have a very small space, but you create kind of a maze and you create corridors to make this small space look huge. And it's like a journey. Like you're going to go in through like someone's garage, but you're going to get scared through like, you know, all kinds of stuff's going to be popping up at you and you don't know what's going to happen next.
Is this not IKEA?
IKEA is a bad example of a labyrinth.
IKEA is a horrible labyrinth.
No, but I think the concept, I think you can take the concept of a labyrinth and gamify it and make a shopping experience 1,000 times more enjoyable.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's taking the sort of experience.
Yes.
Because like people will say, but I want to be like rushed in and I just want to shop and get out of there. But I think we're moving away from that, because I think people who feel like, no, I just want to shop and get out of there.
Go online and get it delivered.
They're going to be ordering Prime now.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is actually really interesting, because I think a lot of stores are trying to be more experiential. And that's becoming like a big thing of like, okay, what can a brick and mortar store offer that online shopping can't? So I think you're on something.
And shelf space is a really huge thing. Was it like what's product per square footage? There's some kind of math they use for retail space. Right. So, I mean, if you're able to like have a labyrinth where people walk through a really short corridors, you can probably utilize the space a lot more aside from it being entertaining.
Lorraine says something really cool. She says, we have 2 labyrinths at our church. There are people that visit one in every city they go to.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You know what's big in England? They like hedge mazes.
Hedge mazes. Okay.
Yeah, and they're really pretty. People have hedge mazes. Like big stately homes, they make these hedge mazes.
It's kind of like that thing in that Harry Potter movie.
Is there
I don't know. Like some kid like died in a maze or something. That's a while ago. Yeah. I fail as a nerd because I'm not that versed in Harry Potter.
Was choose your own adventure books.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I think like the idea of like, what if you can interact with a book and the book takes you on a journey? Is there a way of using the pages to kind of guide your journey? And I thought of choose your own adventure. So when I was a kid, I always liked those books that have like, okay, you see a dragon. Do you fight the dragon or do you run away? If you fight, go to page 10. If you run away, go to page 3. And you like go, okay, I'm going to fight the dragon.
Right, but you got to keep your thumb on the previous page just in case you die, right?
And obviously you go to page 10. The dragon eats
your head. That's great. So go back again.
Right, okay, I'll run away then. But yeah, I feel like that's, and I wonder if you can do like choose your own adventure journals. Like you can
Yes.
There's a thought brewing there.
There is.
Okay, so let's move on. Oh, we've got one thing left. We're going to do the big debate.
Ooh,
We've
is
got to
the
be quick
big
because
debate?
it's almost 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Hold on. I've got a screen share. Oh, you're going to like this one, Isaac. This is fun. Okay, so I read a story today on the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. This girl, right? Oh, wait, where's she gone? Come back, lady. Mm-hmm. Okay. I tattooed my face so I couldn't get a normal job.
That's like the slogan for every mumble rapper on the planet.
I tattooed my face. Actually, she's a very beautiful girl, and she can kind of cover it up. So it's a little bit like, okay, I see what you did.
Yeah.
So she.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what she did. So she tattooed her face so she couldn't get a normal job. Now it was funny because this actually stood out to me because I remember many years ago when I was. So I left, I worked as a software engineer from when I was 18 to when I was 22, mm-hmm. and I had autumn. And then I left my job as a software engineer and I was like, oh, I'm fed up with like workforce and all of this sort of thing. And I got my nose pierced after Autumn was born. She was just a baby. And I was like, good, I'm doing that so that I never have to do anything in life that requires me to take my nose ring out. If I have to take my nose ring out, it is not for me. And I was living on a very conservative island, and everyone wears suits to work, or it's all private banks. Everyone wears suits to work. And I was like, I never want to join this workforce. I don't want to be part of this. And so in my own little way, and I was only 22, so I was kind of like, at the world. It was like my little bit of rebellion of like, I don't want to join the workforce. And it was funny because I got my MBA for the same reason. I was like, I don't ever want to have to make the coffee for the boss. So I'm going to get an MBA because like of course it doesn't work. You still end up, I make you coffee. But anyway, so I kind of sort of, like, I know it sounds kind of extreme, but I sort of understand where she was coming from. And what she did, actually, when you read it, it makes a bit more sense. Like the story, the headline's a bit sensationalized. But when you read it, what actually happened, she became an apprentice in a tattoo parlor, mm-hmm. and she was super committed to working in a tattoo parlor. So as a sign of her commitment to the job and to not having a normal job, like to being an artist, she said, I'm going to tattoo my face. Because then that is like a commitment to being an artist, to being a tattoo artist.
It reminds me of, was it Napoleon who would send his troops out to war and then burn the ships so that they couldn't escape. And it goes back to the art of war. If you want to win a battle, you have to put your men in a position where there is no exit strategy.
Run away.
They have nowhere to go, but no choice but to fight. So to do something you love, you absolutely love in life, you're going to sacrifice everything. You'll put yourself in a position where the only thing you can do is do that thing you love.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of symbolic of what she did. But what it made me think about is, and I know people have asked this a few times in our group, it's like, how should you put your name on things? Should you make things personal? And I think this is something that's very close to my heart, like totally. I mean, I have like Katharyne.com, and it's like, it's weird because if I want to do something that's off-brand, it's like I feel like, oh, I can't, like if I want to like try out, like I've written Yeti porn, say.
Right.
I haven't actually written Yeti porn, but if I was writing Yeti, well, you don't know of it. If let's say I was writing Yeti erotica, it would be hard for me to put that in my name because it would be kind of confusing to people who follow me for like e-commerce or for other stuff, and you kind of like it, but at the same time, I feel like having a personal brand is probably the strongest. Like you can't get more convincing or more persuasive than being yourself and putting yourself in and saying, this is my name, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is my values. Like that's very strong if you're making products or if you're selling a service. I mean, I think teachers especially, like, I mean, I think about like our singing teacher. It's like, I don't really want to ever go to another singing teacher because I love the way she teaches and I love her personal sort of values and brand. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very powerful putting yourself into a brand. But I do think, and I think also it can be scary. Like if your competitors sort of like looking at you or attacking you, or like being out there can be a little bit scary because there's a lot of dirty marketers out there. There's a lot of sort of other things that go on. So I don't know. What do you Like, I think you're pretty invested in this.
Oh, the tattoo. I can't show it.
Not even do it.
I know. My
There,
arm doesn't
wait,
twist
there
that
you go,
way. There you go. You can see it.
Yeah, you've got the Tangent logo.
I do. Yeah. Well, that's, I don't know. I feel that's a little bit different for me. It was more of a milestone and a stepping stone, and what it represents something very, very special to me. So that's
it was more you put your identity into the brand than you put the brand on you.
Well, yeah. Well, and the symbol itself has some historical reference. It's actually an ancient alchemist symbol.
Wow.
And so
is this like witchcraft and Satanism, Isaac? What's going on? Oh, okay.
They will never know. It's a sigil. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a little bit different for me, but I don't know. I'm kind of, my heart wants to say yes. Get the tattoo on your face. Go back. So put yourself in a position where there is no exit strategy. But then my brain's like, don't do it unless you're absolutely, absolutely sure. Because should a 20-year-old do that? I don't know. Because are they going to be like 30, 40 years old and have a regret?
I think tattoos are like that in general, though. So, I remember when I got my first tattoo, my thought was, choosing not to have a tattoo is a choice. Like, I could die like in 5 years time and never have got a tattoo. And so that would be a choice to not have a tattoo.
Okay, let me put things in perspective. Okay, you have Sid, right? He loves Roblox and he wants to start a YouTube channel of Roblox and he wants to show his dedication. So he decides to get a Roblox facial tattoo. Would you support that?
No, I would say no. My baby don't get.
But what if you told you this is his heart? This is where he wants to go in life. This is where his destiny is. I think if it wasn't on his face, I might be. And if it wasn't Roblox, Again, you see, you threw these conditions, and this is what society does. They throw conditions. It's cool if. It's cool if. And so we all suddenly become the judge. I think
everyone should do what they want to do, and I think I don't judge her. I totally get where she's coming from. I think it's you gave me a difficult suggestion because you put my 10-year-old son in. You
gotta go for the jugular.
Honestly, No. But right, Autumn, right? She's almost 18. If she said I'm going to get a facial tattoo of something, then I think I'd be okay with it if she'd considered it through and she knew what she was doing.
What if it was like? It was like an IP, some type of intellectual, like obscure anime.
I think my problem with IP and like having something like Roblox is that it's a fad and it's going to I feel there's a million things that I could have had tattooed on. Like you wouldn't really want Bros or New Kids on the Block or something.
If I got a tattoo in my 20s, I would have been very, very sad about it today. Because I'm a very, very different person. My belief system, everything changed from my 20s to where I'm at now.
You'd have had like He-Man.
Oh my God. Masters of the universe. Not 50 Shades. The actual master. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I don't know. Should you have a personal brand? Maybe. Our big debates are terrible. We just always end up with
maybe if you feel like it. I don't know.
You can if you want.
Yeah. Heck yeah, get a personal brand. Put your name on it. Go market yourself.
It on your face.
Who's gonna copy that? Yeah.
Wow.
You got to be really just assertive and direct when you're marketing.
I like this.
Yeah, there we go.
Guys, we are going. I hope you enjoyed the show and the craziness that is the Tangent Show. We had a lovely time talking to you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Do come and join us wherever you can find us online. We are in our KDP group most of the time. That is at facebook.com/groups/Amazon Create Space. Yes, it's KDP group. You can also send us messages, hi@Katharyne.com. I don't know, just find us on Facebook. We'll talk to you. And buy Tangent Templates. It's a great software tool. You can make books, put them on KDP. See, I said this show wasn't about marketing, but I'm like, buy Tangent Templates.
And get a facial tattoo.
And get face tattoos. All right, guys, have a great evening. Have a great weekend. We love you. Thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next week on Friday night. Oh, and come to my book club on Tuesday morning. It's at 11 o'clock California time. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.
You just watched The Tangent Show. If you loved it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.